Well, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is RC Blakes, and I want to welcome you back to another Let's Talk with RC Blakes. What a blessing it is. Tonight we're talking about how to move in relationships, how to move from attraction to attachment. You know, the mistake that many people make, which is the reason we end up with soul ties and all kinds of toxic connections, dysfunctional attachments, is because people move from attraction to attachment. And there are some issues, some factors in the middle between attraction and attachment that have to be addressed if we're going to make for a healthy attachment. So I need you to invite some others to come into this conversation tonight. Tell them that RC Blakes is on, and I'm looking for them. I want them to be a part of this amazing conversation tonight. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? This has been a very, very busy travel year for Lisa and I. And actually, we're just getting back home. And I'm just excited to be able to share this word with you tonight. So please invite some others to come in. And as you come in, make certain that you like and share to help us to defeat the algorithm. It seems like the algorithm has become my worst enemy these days, and I need you to help me to defeat the algorithm tonight. But let's look at this, and I literally entitled this Stages Between Attraction and Attachment. Stages between attraction and attachment. Now, when you think about relationships, typically we move, through a sequence of stages. If you're wise, we move through a sequence of stages as, the two people transition from what is initial interest, catching one another's eye, being attracted to whatever you might be attracted in, or attracted to the person for, to a lasting partnership. Now, the framework that we're going to look at tonight preserves the core idea that attraction is the spark, but it emphasizes that what we're dealing with tonight emphasizes that lasting connection will rest on deeper evaluation, aligned values, mutual commitment, all of these things. While the stages are described in a traditional, which I believe in, classical rhythm, healthy dating, no matter what, healthy dating and committed relationships today always honor consent, equality, and individual agency. The idea of hookup culture was flawed from its inception because it does not promote classical biblical values. In fact, about it, I think I want to deal with something that I've been asked about many times, and that is, what is the difference between dating versus courting? What's the difference between a person that, is subscribing to the modern concepts of dating versus the old, what some might call the old fogey, traditional concept of courting. Now, there are differences, you know, there are differences in emphasis when you think about the modern concept of dating versus the traditional, the old school concept of courting. You know, the concepts that that my mother and my father lived by, my grandparents lived by. I think by the time I came along, you know, society was transitioning a little bit out of the courting. I didn't even know it to be a term until later in life, and we were transitioning more to the dating idea. But there are differences in emphasis. As I've pondered it, there are differences in pace. The pace of courting was slower. There are differences in aims. The intent of courting was much more specific, whereas dating is undefined, nebulous. Um, though in practice, though there are these differences, though in practice, many people blend elements of both. I think I was raised with a courting um, model. I think I was raised with courting values, but society started changing around the time I became a teenager, and I started blending this new stuff, you know, dating for hookups and all of that kind of thing, with some of those old school values of courting. But here's some of the key distinctions because, and I wanna deal with this because I think what I'm gonna lay out for you tonight is more of a courting paradigm. It's more of a courting model. Here's some of the key distinctions between dating versus courting. Number one, the Bible can substantiate the concepts of courting, while this new idea of dating is not specifically substantiated by the Bible. But here's some of the key distinctions: intent and aim. Courting, typically intentional toward marriage. Today we say, are you dating towards marriage? Well, courting, when a man was courting a woman, it was understood that he was occupying her time for the purposes of marriage or a long term covenant from the outset. You can substantiate that by way of the Bible. The goal is discernment about a lifelong partnership. Now, dating, unlike the specificity of courting, dating can be exploratory and casual, or it can be serious. In most cases, dating is casual. You know, people are simply um, engaging one another for the purposes of, you know, sex, entertainment, whatever the case may be, depending on the people involved, right? But the aim may be friendship, enjoyment, or a path toward commitment. That's how nuanced dating is. Courting is not as nuanced. People would court for the purpose of marriage. But in dating, people get together and they hang out and they occupy one another's time for a lot of different reasons, but not always necessarily inherently marriage centered is dating. Another distinction is supervision and accountability. Courting often involves or is guided by families or mentors with clear boundaries and expectations. Fathers have a word to say, mothers have a word to say, siblings, older brothers have a word to say, especially about the young lady. There may be more formal chaperoning or structured processes. My mother tells the story. My father used to tell the story before he went home to be with the Lord of how when he brought my mother out, he was he had to bring my aunt, my mother's baby sister, with him, sometimes her younger brothers with him, because he was courting her for what? Marriage. Now, dating usually more private and informal. Boundaries and supervision are set by the individuals, not necessarily the community or the family, or, it's set by the man and the woman. They make their own arrangements by mutual agreement with less external oversight, you know. Um, here's a third uh, here's a third distinction between courting versus dating: pace and structure. Courting is generally slower paced, with explicit steps toward, which I'm going to give you tonight, some steps between attraction versus attachment, but generally slower with explicit steps toward building trust and evaluating long-term compatibility. There are typically milestones, um, introduction of families, conversations about goals, readiness for commitment, so forth and so on. It's slower paced because it's more intentional, and courting is designed to lead to more definite and serious outcomes. Now, dating varies widely. It can be fast or it can be slow. The pace is guided by the couple's comfort level, schedules, and chemistry, with less prescriptive structure. And many times people date for great lengths of time with no defined outcome other than, they just enjoying one another's time, and and in most cases, even amongst Christians, people that go to church at least, they enjoy the sex between the two. No consideration at all for what the Word of God says or what the standard should be. Is because they're dating is not. It's really not as biblical as the concepts of courting. And I have to admit to you, it's just because people have asked me to draw the lines of distinction between the two, what is courting, what is dating, that I've begun to understand that courting is more of a biblical model. Because again, when I came along, it was not a term that my generation even, and I'm 61 years old, it was not a term that my generation used. It was a term that kind of, got on, it found itself on the respirator um, in my mom's generation. Oh, it's on the respirator in my generation. It died in my generation. Um, okay, here's another distinction: boundaries and propriety. Courting often emphasizes modesty, public accountability, and conservative boundaries, emotionally, physically, socially, aligned with the hope for marital outcome. While dating, boundaries are negotiated between partners and can range from casual to serious. Physical and emotional boundaries may be more fluid. A man that's just dating a woman and he's not courting her for marriage, he may encourage her to dress in a way where she's half naked or maybe three-fourths naked. You know, um, they may feel the liberty to just explore one another's boundaries without any mention of a future, because that's how fluid dating is versus courting. This is I've learned some things just by studying this. Another distinction between dating versus courting versus dating is the decision making framework. Courting, decisions about relationship status tend to be more communal. The family's involved, the family's it influences a lot, focusing on long-term viability and covenant compatibility. And every measure is taken to stifle the capacity for lust to rule the show, because the decision-making framework involves the family, many times the spiritual structure of the young persons, the pastor, all of these persons involved when these people come together and say, well, we're trying to create a a marriage. Now, dating decisions are primarily between the individuals involved, the young man, the inexperienced young man, inexperienced young woman, or the older man, older woman. Though input from friends and family may still occur, it is not built into the contract, right? Now, courting in many traditional Christian contexts, courting is framed as a process toward marriage. That's why I'm loving the concept. Maybe it's time to revive the concept of courting as opposed to just the loose term of dating, where we got to do a lot of explanations. Courting is framed as a process, keyword process, toward marriage. Not just, oh, you so fine, you sexy, I want your body, and, bang, 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 bang. No. Courting has scriptural guidance. We can find it all through scripture. While dating, the Bible does not prescribe a single dating method, not specifically or directly. I pull all of my dating advice biblically through concepts that are in principle, but the Bible specifically speaks to how a man is to court a woman for marriage. Wow, I love it. We should always be growing, right? Doesn't matter what your age is, you should be in a state where you're growing. Now, dating often goes from, listen to this statement very carefully, then we'll get into the heart of what I want to discuss tonight. Dating often goes from attraction to attachment. This is how you have these one-night stands. This is how you have hookup culture. You see somebody you're attracted to, you like their legs, you like their eyes, you like their chest, you like their hair, you like their muscles. And next thing you know, you're in the middle of the bed with them. You've gone from attraction to entanglement. Courting follows a sequence between attraction and attachment. Courting is framed as a process that leads toward marriage, not entanglement, but marriage. So the attachment we're talking about when we're considering courting someone is the attachment of covenant, marriage. So let's jump into this right now. Let's jump into this conversation. And I'm going to be, should I say it? I think I'm going to be, I hope I'm going to be shorter tonight than an hour. I hope I'm going to be. Let's look at number one. I have 5 points. Attraction. Attraction. Attraction is, what is attraction, Bishop? Attraction is the initial magnet that is fueled by superficial cues, such as looks, charisma, style, swag, or vibe. Now, the thing about attraction is, scientifically, It is often chemical. Most of the time it's chemical and emotionally potent, but not, listen to this statement very carefully. Attraction is not a reliable predictor of long-term compatibility. This is why, this is why most of the people you've been attracted to, your type, this is why all those previous relationships only served to increase your body count and never brought you to the altar. Or maybe you got to the altar, but you had a wedding, but you never got a marriage out of it. It's because attraction is not a reliable predictor of long-term compatibility or covenant partnership, which is why I am bringing you to the discussion that we're having tonight. Now, attraction is real and attraction is meaningful, but it is not the foundation for lasting love. I think when I first started dealing with this, I was doing an Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at RCBLAKES. I was talking about how when you go to the grocery store, and you look on the shelf, you see, if you don't know what you're looking for, and if you're not married to a particular brand of something, the first thing that attracts your eye is the packaging, the colors, the pictures or whatever. And if you are a person that's not health conscious, you will buy or purchase that product based on what the front looks like, what the label on the front looks like, with no consideration for what's on the back. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the most important part of the packaging is the part that is not seen on the surface, on the front part, the part that faces the aisle. That part is designed to catch your attention and to attract you. And many times they use colors to make you purchase, right? Well, that's the same thing. When you see somebody, attraction is meaningful, but it is not the foundation for lasting love. Because you think somebody's cute or fine does not mean that they're going to make a husband or a wife. It can be influenced by, attraction usually is influenced by environment, mood, and context, and often involves neurochemical responses like dopamine and oxytocin. You get a rush when you see a woman that looks a certain kind of way, or you see a man that looks a certain kind of way. It's like you get a hit of drugs. But this feeling you get from this dopamine or this oxytocin is fleeting and it is superficial. I love what 1 John chapter 2 and verse 16 says. And the sad thing about it is many of you will stay married to the type argument. Many of you will stay married to the, I gotta like the way they look. They got to be kissable, and I get all of that. But you'll never move off of that. And that is like the most childish mindset you can have, for a person that's beyond 30, and you still around here just trying to build relationships off of what a person looks like. You 40 and you're doing this? You're 50 and you're doing it? You still talking about the way they look? When you can clearly look in the mirror, you can see that you don't even look the same. Looks change. And the Bible puts it this way. In 1 John 2:16 says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And everything that is of the world is doing what? Passing away. So when you try to build a whole relationship on basic attraction, I mean, it's such a shifty foundation, such an uncertain. Only thing certain about a foundation or relationship that's built on the foundation of attraction only is that it is not certain. It's almost certain that it's going to fail. It's kind of like, when you look in the Bible and you see the story of Amnon and his half sister Tamar, children of David by two different mothers. The Bible talks about how Amnon loved Tamar so much, he wanted her so much, but it was just physical sexual attraction. And you go and read the story. One day he schemed, and this lust took him over so much so that he raped his own sister. And then listen to what the Bible says after he did this horrible thing. It says in 2 Samuel 13:15, then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, arise and be gone. After he raped her, he hated her. That's how fleeting, that's how irresponsible attractions are. That once you attain the object of your attraction, be it usually it's the sexual lust, you wake up and you come down off that thing and you realize, what did I just do? You see. Now, if you look in 2 Corinthians 6:14, it says, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Well, how does that happen? You get unequally yoked with people when you go to connecting with people based on attraction only. That's what happened with Samson. He liked the way Delilah looked. He liked the way the Philistine women looked, as opposed to his own women. He liked the way they looked. And it ended up doing what? Robbing him of his sight, robbing him of his purpose, robbing him of his dignity, robbing him ultimately of his life, because attraction is not enough. So while attraction is powerful, it must be balanced with discernment and values. Use attraction as a cue to pause and gather more data rather than rushing into decisions that are based on superficial impulses. Sam Keen says, love is not about finding the perfect person, but learning to see an imperfect person perfectly. See, when you mature, you're not just looking for the person that is visually stimulating or visually perfect, but you're seeking to know a person, and you don't know a person from the outside in. You know a person from the inside out. And sometimes when you get to learn the insides of a person, it makes even the outside more attractive. So now we move from attraction, which everybody's familiar with, but maybe not in the terms that we just outlined. The next step, you don't go from attraction to attachment. You move from attraction to approach. So you're attracted to someone. The next step is approach. Now, approach is the moment when two people transition from interest to initiation. You see one another, you're interested, you're attracted, and so now you move from interest to initiation. It involves how each person signals interest and navigates boundaries. Approach. Now, traditional models that I subscribe to cast the man as the approacher. Traditional models, women don't shoot their shot. At least, okay, it's nuanced. Women do not shoot their shot. Let me say it like this. maybe you'll go with me on this one. Women do not shoot their shot like men. In the traditional paradigm or the traditional model, the man is mostly responsible for approaching, shooting shots, right? Now, when you think about, and I'm gonna break that down further. I know you want to know what I have to say about it. I'm gonna break that down further. But when you think about approach, we move from attraction to approach. This is the slow-paced process of moving from attraction to attachment. In the process of approach, the energy of the approach sets the tone for what follows. In other words, a decisive and clear approach can create safety and momentum. A gentle and suggestive approach or response invites reciprocity or encourages continued pursuit. I'm showing you the energies between the man and the woman. Both should communicate intent with respect and kindness. The approach is more than words. It is about creating a safe space for genuine connection, open-ended questions, and clear signals that help each to evaluate compatibility while respecting the other's boundaries. So now, in the process of approach, it's very important for the man's approach has to be purely masculine, decisive, a leader. The woman's part of approach has to be purely feminine, inviting, what's the word I'm looking for? Approving. A man's approach should be masculine in energy. It should be more direct and decisive. Now, to all of my brothers that are listening to me, you gotta get over this thing where you're afraid to approach women. You gotta get over this thing. And when I say, I'm not talking about this corny stuff that these people have you signing up for these courses to learn how to trick women into the bed. No, I'm talking about you gotta develop enough self-confidence, enough self-respect, enough belief in yourself that you learn how to see that a woman is seeing you smiling and all of that. And I'm getting ahead of myself right now. And you can close the gap, move across the room, and you can say, hello, my name is, what's yours? You got to be able to do that. You can't just keep sitting over there. You're 30 years old. You can't sit there like you're a little schoolboy, just constantly looking up, and they ain't coming over there saying nothing. And while you looking up, you look down again, another dude has made his way across the room. Now he got the woman in a full-blown conversation. She's been looking at you back and forth for the last 30 minutes. You gotta approach. You gotta move from attraction to approach. You gotta take that risk. Now, a woman's part in the whole approach thing should be feminine in energy. Woman should never walk across the room and shoot her shot. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. The woman's part, again, is more suggestive and inviting. So the woman just, in the whole, this is how women approach. He over there, you over here. You smiling, you look up, catch his eye, and, look down, and a few minutes later, you look up again, you catch his eye again. Come on, man. Back in the day, back in the 60s, yeah, somewhere like around in the 60s and the 50s and all that, the way a woman would approach a man is that she would drop a handkerchief. You know, people don't even know what a handkerchief is now, but she would drop her little handkerchief, and the man would pick it up. And she said, "Oh, thanks," and that would be the conversation starter. And then you see men had more testosterone back then, so they were more assertive. Let's not say aggressive, assertive. So once she said, "Oh, thank you," and she smiled, he knew to step in. You're like my father when he saw my mother, he said, "Hello there." Well, all this stuff these people feeding us now, dudes, testosterone ain't what it used to be. So we don't have the courage to step to a woman like that. But a woman, you gotta your part of approaching is more. You gotta your part of approaching is like opening the door. He gotta walk through. Come on now. You can't be the one doing the whole job. You know why? Because if you got to start the relationship like that, you're gonna have to finish it like that. And the feminine essence of your feminine soul is going to grow weary with having to do a man's job constantly in the relationship. So we move from attraction to approach. The Bible says this in 1 Thessalonians 4, 6, and through 8, just write that down. It says that no man offend in any matter, that your purity and honor be preserved. So we don't approach with sexual intention. We approach with the idea of getting to know the person, not the shell. So when I'm looking at the product on the shelf, because I desire more than the wrapping, I'm not going to consume the wrapping. I'm going to consume the content. What do? Not only do I look at the product, but now I reach for the product, I approach the product, and I take the product in hand and I begin to view the product, right? That's symbolic of the approach. Now, here's some practical approach guidelines. Lead with honesty and clarity. No game. No game. No kind of stuff you learned from the red pill community, or you learn from the women's lib people that hate men, and they basically teaching women how to reverse the game and teaching you how to trick men. None of that. Lead with honesty and clarity. The next one I list is respect signals of disinterest. Somebody give you a sign that they're really not interested, move on. The next one I mentioned, gracefully pause if boundaries are crossed. You feel like somebody's gotten uncomfortable that you crossed a boundary, pause, slow your roll. The next one I mentioned is prioritize mutual comfort and consent. Make certain that you're reading the room and you're reading the spirit or the energy of the person, making certain that they are as comfortable as you are. Use open-ended questions to explore core values and life goals. The next one I mentioned is keep it explorative and non-sexual. In approaching, you do not, I don't care how sexually appealing the person may be, you do not want to interject anything sexual by any means on any level in the approach. You want it to be purely explorative of the person's soul, who they are on the inside. Tim Clinton says people don't fall in love with potential, they fall in love with the actual person. The actual person is not the wrapping. You don't fall in love with the wrapping of the product. You fall in love with what's on the inside of the product, which brings me to the third step. So we move from attraction to approach, right? We got to learn the art of approaching. If I can teach y'all how to approach, I can get y'all off all these dating sites with all these pictures on there of you 20 years ago. Put your real picture on there. All your hair ain't black like that. Put your real picture on there. You got wrinkles in your face. People can't love you for who you are. They ain't your person. I can teach you how to approach with confidence and understanding how to sit in your particular energy as a man or as a woman, you're going to have greater success. Now, one thing I ain't never had no problem with, that is approaching and having success with connecting with the opposite sex. I ain't never had no problem with that. That didn't make no difference what it was. I ain't had no problem with that. Because I ain't never had, okay, I'm going to leave that alone. Number 3, my time is just about gone. So we move from attraction to approach to, watch this, assessment. Assessment. The reason you keep getting these people, and then it's months or years later, you talking about, they are this kind of narcissist and they that, is because you didn't do assessments at the appropriate time. You went from attraction to attachment, and then you started assessing after you were attached. Wow. For real, for real. Assessment is the mature process of gathering deeper data to determine suitability and alignment before you're at risk. It involves conversation. Assessment involves observation. Assessment involves intentional questioning to evaluate character, compatibility, and shared life goals if there are any. You don't go from, oh, he fine, to entanglement, to wedlock, and now you say he ain't got no work ethic, he don't want to work. Well, you had to marry him to find that out? Yeah. You didn't do no assessments. You were supposed to go from attraction to approach. Number one, if you're a woman and you had to approach him, that's kind of like a clue right there to what you're getting ready to have to deal with right there. You got to go from attraction to approach to assessment. Now, this stage is about collecting meaningful insights into core values, communication styles, emotional health, and lifestyle compatibility. Proverbs 25 says, counsel in the heart of a man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. You wanna assess this person fully before you submit yourself to this or you commit yourself to this. You want to assess this before you make commitments, before listen to what I'm saying. When you jump in the middle of the bed with folk, you're making commitments. You are. And just a side note, Lisa and I were flying today, and I was telling her about how the HIV rate is exploding. Exploding. I just thought you should know. You need to attraction, approach, assessment. You don't have sex during the assessment phase, even if you're not a Christian. You don't subscribe to sex only in marriage, like I believe in preaching. You got to be smart enough to know who you getting in the middle of the bed with. How are you sleeping with folk and you don't have no medical report? How are you in the middle of the bed with folk, giving them your body, and y'all ain't went and drawn no, you haven't drawn any blood. You ain't got no paper that shows you this person got a clean bill of health, and you out there making all of this noise in the middle of the bed. No assessment. You got to use questions to explore family. So you got to assess a lot of things. Faith, if you're a person of faith, you're a Christian, well, is it going to be a conflict if this person has another belief system spiritually. Finances, is money important to you? Conflict resolution, personal habits, idiosyncrasies. You got to observe patterns over time rather than relying on fleeting impressions. Now, you have to avoid analysis paralysis by balancing exploration with pacing. Just give yourself time. Stop rushing. Give yourself time. Now, here's some key factors. Letter A, how does this person affect your nervous system? I know you think you love them. I know they're beautiful. I know they're sexy and all of that. And I know you want a life with them. But do they make you nervous? Do they give you anxiety? I don't want to be with nobody lifelong that gives me anxiety. No. My wife is good for my nervous system. I'm oh yeah. I'm more relaxed when I'm around my wife. I'd rather be, I tell people they think I'm joking. I'd rather be with Lisa mad than to be with somebody else glad. She's good for my nervous system. You don't wanna attach yourself to somebody that's bad for your nervous system. Letter B, how do your values align? Do your values align at all? Are you of the mind that you're going to change somebody? Let us see. What kind of family do they come from? That's going to be very important. It's going to be very, very, very important because the kind of family they come from is going to have a lot to do with a lot of different things in terms of how they deal with you. Letter D, how are they with money? And letter E, do you feel fully accepted by them, good or bad? See, it doesn't matter how much you love a person. If you don't feel like your authentic self is really accepted by them, they ain't good for you. You feel judged by them, you feel belittled by them, they ain't good for you. Number 4 is approval. So we're going from attraction. We're going from attraction to approach, right? We're going from attraction to approach to assessment, right? We having these conversations, we feeling one another out, and now we got enough information that we can approve or disapprove. Now, approval is the mutual decision that both parties are suitable and ready for commitment. You're ready for it. They are ready for it. You want to commit. They want to commit. Ready. Both people, watch this, will affirm this. You see, it can't be a situation where you talking about God told me you my husband or God told me you my wife, and the other person is not affirming that. Both people have to approve. You got to approve of them. They got to approve of you. It involves honest discussion about compatibility, red flags, and shared vision. Not you can't become the person's stalker. They have not approved of you as their spouse, and you talking about what God told you. No. Both of y'all got to affirm the other. Amos 3:3 says, can two walk together except they be agreed? Approval should be intentional and based on mutual understanding. Both parties should feel confident that the relationship adds value and growth. Recognize that it is okay to walk away if incompatibilities are evident. The goal is a shared vision of a healthy future. And ideally, you have not given this person your body at this point. Because when you mix sex up in this, it's going to confuse you every time. And usually the people that are worse for us are the best at sex. Oh, that's tweetable right there. The worst people for you are the best at sex. That's just a trick of the enemy right there. The best relationships, I love what this is anonymous, but it's a powerful statement. The best relationships are the ones you're not in a hurry to leave. I'm not talking about sex here. I'm talking about these are people that your soul and your spirit approves of a person when you don't want to be without them, when you don't want to leave them, and they're good for you. They draw you closer to God. Oh my goodness, they just co-sign your happiness, you know. And here's some practical approval steps. Discuss openly whether both of you want to pursue deeper commitment. That's how you approve. Y'all discuss it. Clarify expectations about the future or future plans. Consider practical tests of compatibility. Are we compatible in this wise? Now, we working towards this thing. We're intentional about this. Make a timeline for next steps or reevaluation. And anything that does not have a timeline is not serious. Oh, we just gonna do our thing, and we just gonna let things run their course. You know what I mean? No, when a man is serious about you, he gonna put some time on it. When you want to marry me, I want to be married to you. If he's a man, over a certain age, 30, 35 years old, you know, a man ain't trying to wait no 5 years to marry you. No, 6 months. Once I knew Lisa was my wife, we was married in months. We had dated for years, but once I knew she was my wife, we was married. We was married. A couple months, we was hooked up. On down the street. And then number 5, and I'm out of here, is attachment. So we move from what? Attraction to what? Approach, to assessment, to approval. I approve of you, you approve of me. Now we create the contract, so to speak. Now we're at attachment. Most of the people have gone from attraction to trivial, superficial things to attachment or entanglement. But there's missed all of that stuff in the middle. Attachment is the committed relationship where the two are exclusive in forging a future together. It is the lived expression of trust, love, and shared purpose. Attachment is an ongoing process that requires maintenance, communication, forgiveness, and space for individual growth. It is built on shared meaning and purpose while honoring personal identity. The goal is a resilient partnership that can navigate life's challenges together. The Bible puts it this way in Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Mark 10:9 says, what therefore God, don't make me preach, God hath joined together. Let not man put asunder. Now here's some practical attachment principles, and I'm done. Maintain regular communication and shared routine. See, because attachment is, Lisa and I be married 30 years in October, we still have to work at our attachment, staying close. Letter B, support each other's personal development. Letter C, build a culture of forgiveness and repair, because everybody gonna make mistakes. And letter D, create a clear plan for future goals and ongoing growth. So there you have it. There you have it. Moving from attraction to attachment. I hope you got something out of this tonight. May I pray for you? Father, I thank you because when I pray, you hear me. Now, God, I pray for every person that's under the sound of my voice that may be struggling with having made horrific relational choices. God, give them right now. Give them a sense of rest and peace, and let them know, dear God, that they are not beyond redemption. Let this wisdom soak into their hearts, God, and let them see tomorrow as a brand new start. Now, thank you for those that have given up on the idea even of having a successful relationship. God, give them peace about it. And I thank you for raising up the people, for your daughters and for your sons that you have ordained for them. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, amen. Now listen, look in the description. There's a link for BetterHelp Counseling. You need counseling. Use that link. It will afford you 10% off of the cost of their counseling. And they in turn will make a deposit into RC Blake's Ministries because I recommended them. If you've not joined the Royal Court, if you're not a member of the channel, you should do that tonight. I need every one of you that love what we do. I need you to support us. I mean, it's less than $10 a month. Lisa and I we try our best to do 2 private Zoom sessions with the Royal Court. It's an amazing community. Now, don't forget to go by Amazon, pick up all of my books, all of my latest book, Training for Reigning, pick it up. Thanks to all of you who supported us. Thanks to the most amazing moderators in the world. I love you. Lisa and I love you so very much. What am I missing? Hey, if you've not signed up for our South Africa trip happening in December this year, go and do that now. We have a few more spaces left, and we'd love to have you with Lisa and I in South Africa this year. Hey, I think I'm tired. I know I'm tired, but I think I've said everything I need to say. I think I got the message out. Hope you got something out of this tonight. Make certain that you like and share before you leave tonight, and just know that you're on top. You're going higher. God has more in store for you. And Lisa and I love you with all of our hearts. God bless you. Until next time. See you at the top.
My queen, my queen. Oh, she. Oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel. So strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying. Back to work, cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due. She's the